Infusing technology in the classroom. First, some general thoughts from some presenters at different technology conferences. Does the technology add value to the exercise? Not just technology for technology's sake? Will the tools automatically lead to learning? No. That's where the teachers come in, and that's why training is so important, and time for training is so important as we add more and more technology to our schools. How do we ensure equity? How do we make sure that everyone has the same opportunity to technology? And as more and more technology is developed, especially ones that our students are very interested in, how do we teach students the proper way to use them? Infusing technology into the classroom is a huge topic. So for this video, I will be focusing only on the interactive whiteboard, since we have Promethean boards in many of our middle and high school classrooms, and we have smart boards in many of our elementary classrooms. Some key questions I would like to address. How do teachers improve student engagement and learning using the interactive whiteboard? Things we should consider whenever we're planning to use our board. How do teachers make sure their interactive whiteboard isn't just like an overhead projector? And I do encourage you to start small, but start finding ways to make it more than just like what your overhead used to do. What is Active Inspire and what resources are available? And where should a teacher new to Active Inspire start? Well, the answer to that question is a website called Promethean Planet. If you have Active Inspire on your computer, and by the way, all of our netbooks have this on it, so not only can your flip charts be used by the whole class, but flip charts can be shared with students and they can go through these at their own pace. The first thing I would recommend if you have never built a flip chart or never used a Promethean or a smartboard is to go to Promethean Planet, to choose a subject that you're interested in, like for example planets, and then take a look at many of the flip charts that other people have created already. Now I do want to warn you, you're going to find the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it does take a lot of time, but what I found was I could learn a lot of things that I didn't like and a lot of things that I liked, and I could learn a lot of techniques by viewing other teachers' flip charts. And what you do is you download the flip chart and then play with it on your computer and take a look at what different kinds of things that it has built into it. Another thing that I would recommend that you do is that you would spend some time under the Professional Development tab viewing some of what they call the active tips. And what they have done is they have built all kinds of little videos to show us how to do different things. And you can see by looking at this that they vary in length, and all you do is click on it.
If you're looking at flip charts with questions and then were designed by other people, this active tip is going to be very helpful for you. And hopefully it wasn't designed by this guy right here, because he looks a little bit cranky. Of course I would too if that was my super costume. I mean, seriously, you got a little thing hanging up there. I mean, as super costumes go, this is definitely a subpar effort. But sometimes when you open a flip chart, you might know that there is a question on the page. But how do you know if the question is already set? How do you know if the correct answer has been selected? And do you want the correct answer to be selected? So let's kind of...
So that's just a little example of what you can find by watching the active tip. I found them very helpful. I also like to go under professional development And I like to go to the thing called Teacher Feature, because what they have done here is they have put some teachers who have uploaded their flip charts to Promethean Planet that have been determined to be really nice examples. And so it's a good way of finding some of the better resources that are available. In addition to looking at other flip charts, you're going to want to go to the Collections and Assets section, because what they have done is they have built a lot of what are called resource packs. And what these are is they are different graphics, different letters, different sounds and things like that that you could use when you are building your different types of flip charts. So that's what I would do first if it were me and I was just trying to learn about Active Inspire. Now I'm going to show you some very basic things that you can do using Active Inspire. The most basic is to simply put text on a page to set your goal for or learning objective for the hour, to put some questions that might generate discussion. The other thing that I like to do on most of my pages is I like to build in links to other things that I may want to use during that lesson. So it's real easy to link to websites, it's real easy to link to PDF files and things like that. So I build in links so that I don't have to click all over the place to find what I'm looking for. Now, what I do when I build in those links is I know that if there are times that I want to actually pull up a file, either a website or a file that goes with my textbook, what I like to do is I like to have that link there, and then so that I can manipulate this as if it were part of my flip chart, I click again on the Active Inspire icon. I click on this icon right here, which is the desktop annotate icon, and now you should have noticed that at the bottom of my screen, my toolbar, I keep mine at the bottom. You can put it wherever you want. By docking it, you get to choose. I dock it at the bottom because a lot of times the kids cannot reach it if I put it up too high. So now this allows me to have tools that I can use. And not only can you do this on top of PDF files, but you can annotate over the top of any websites. Then what you do is you go back when you want to get back to your flip chart and find your other information. Another real simple thing is to put a problem on there, to have kids come up and be part of your problem. And so they might write their names and they might pick randomly where they want their name to be. Then remove the hidden part, and then there's the math topic that can be discussed as a group. It can be worked on whiteboards. It can be sent in via the clickers, which we'll talk about later. Building flip charts, one way to make them more interactive is to put things hidden behind other things. Have a student come up and drag something out. This could be used to find out what kind of background knowledge kids have. It could be used to review topics you've currently been working on in class. It could be for you as the teacher to get some information about what your students already know. So you have the kid come up, they drag something out. Then what I've done is called extracting text. So if they click on any of these things, another one is created. So a kid might know that a parallelogram has 4 sides. And then they might pass the pen on, and someone else might know that the opposite sides of a parallelogram are parallel. And you just let them do this for a while, then you reset it. They also, if something isn't up there to extract text from, They can write their own ideas down also. Getting lots of students up here is really important. Then another student might come up and they might drag something else, and so on. So this is real simple. All I did was hide a bunch of things over on the side, made the arrows the same color so it looks like they're pulling, you know, something out from, hidden from the side. Real simple technique to use in your flip chart. Another real simple technique is to apply an action to a shape. So a student would come up, they'd click on this, they'd have another student come up, or they themselves would sketch a picture of the word. Another student comes up, then they sketch a picture of their word, and then the students lead their discussion on what do you know about this topic, and then because you have two things up there, you can get into your similarities and your differences and have the kids lead the discussion with their peers. I found that I couldn't use my document camera and have my tools available, so this is an example of me taking a picture with my document camera, kind of like in the olden days we used to scan things, because now this is just a part of a flip chart, and I am able to write, or the kids are able to write in a chart up here that matches what they have at their table. If I had my document camera, then I have to go between different software, so I like to just have everything all in one in Active Inspire. Sometimes I just make the graphics look a little nicer, and I just do that by using the drawing tools right here and using the paint bucket and coloring things in and grouping things so that they move together. And then to randomize it, a kid would come up and they would click that, and okay guys, now we're going to do number 6, just to make it a little more interactive. After the Super Bowl, I did the slide that you see here. We've been working on combining like terms. We've been working on the distributive property and the order of operations. So the kids work these problems on their marker boards. They then either held up their marker boards, or they sent it with their clicker, or they just raised their hand and volunteered. And then we wrote all the different answers that kids came up with over here. And then I just clicked on this, used the translucency thing, and they could see that this should have been San Francisco's score, this should have been Baltimore's score, and then the kids who had watched the Super Bowl the night before were able to tell us which was the right answer, because we did get multiple answers for each of those, and then we were able to review and talk about what kinds of errors students were making. Active expressions, we have quite a few of these, at least at the middle school, and one of the ways that I use these is with BrainPop. You can see that I built a link to their website. We either would watch this as a class, or they would watch it on their own. Again, since Active Inspire is on all of our netbooks, I can put flip charts on my webpage, and they can download those and use them. So we would watch the video. Then we would go ahead and take a quiz, and sometimes I have them do these on their own, but sometimes we do it as a review quiz. Now, because I'm on the internet, again, to get my tools, I click on the Active Inspire icon. I click on the desktop annotate. Right there you can see I have some highlighting left, so I just had to get rid of that. And then I bring up my poll. And since it's multiple choice, I just hover over A through D, and then I tell them there's one right answer in this case. They then would be sending them in, but since it's a Sunday, they're not here to do that with me. When they're done, we have immediate feedback to students. We have immediate assessment to the teacher. You can assign these to the students so you know who answers what. You can export your data to an Excel spreadsheet, or you can just use it as part of the class. Now normally it would show me a graph of how many students chose each response. Going back to my flip chart, how else can I use Active Inspire? One of the things the kids really like is the random number generator, and that again was in one of those resource packs that I downloaded from Promethean Planet. Number 1 means the first box. So in this particular case, the students would practice how do you say that number properly. In this particular case, there's the words. Now you send me in number form how you would write that number. And again, no real data right now. You can build your multiple choice or your Active Inspire questions. You can build them ahead of time. Here I use some of the fancy numbering that came in one of the resource packs, made this ahead of time, knew I was going to ask it. Here's an example of where a multiple choice would only have A through C as a choice. But I don't always make my questions ahead of time. Sometimes I just write it on the flip chart and turn on the clickers and they send it to me. Again, there's that random number generator again, moving something out of the way, solving them on a marker board, solving them and sending them with a clicker. Pre-made, knew what I was going to do ahead of time, used some templates that came in one of the resource packs, and as a matter of fact, since I keep talking about those, if you go to View and you go to Browsers, and you go to this one right here that looks like the old movie time thing. Here are the different things that I have downloaded. So if I click on it, I can then see, well, what are some pictures that I could use in some of my flip charts. What other places? Not cooperating right now. Let's go to history. Let's go to ancient civilization. Go to the Incas, art and food. Now there are pictures here that I could use or students could use when building flip charts. I have had kids, you know, instead of using PowerPoint or a Prezi, I have had kids make flip charts. So there's just some built-in things that I could use. Lesson building things like the gadgets that I was talking about when you want a counter going on your screen, or you want some random number generators and different tools that are already built in to make it faster to make your own flip charts. Now I'm going to show you a few things that I have made videos on in the past. Nothing fancy, clickers on the fly. Need to get to the part that I want to show you in this video. Everybody done sending? Okay, so we've got 1/3 times 21 is 3. 1/3 times 21 is 7. 1/3 times 21 is 21. Well, the good news is 16 of you were right. 16 of you were right. So what I would like to have happen is I would like volunteers to come up and either write the math equation or draw the picture that you thought in your head when you did that problem, and then I want you to pass the pen on to somebody else to see if they did it a different way.
First, I looked at how many times 3 goes into 21. So, I did division first. And then I found my answer,
Which was?
7. And then I multiplied by 7 by the numerators, and then I got the answer.
Okay. Did you think of it a different way? Pass the pen to somebody that thought of it a different way, please.
So I thought of 21 dots are like
Stop.
or I don't know columns.
Cookies? Okay, he thought of yum. He thought of 21 cookies.
So then I said how many 7 going to 21, and then it was or
How many?
3 going to 1, and I thought it was 7. So in a group,
3 groups.
then you'll only get one of those groups.
Okay, so he actually used a visual model to help him think of that. Very good. Did anybody think?
So as you could see on that flip chart, I didn't make anything ahead of time. I simply had the clickers out, I wrote something on the board, and had the kids answer some things that way. Here's another one, again on the fly.
All right. What would you say if I told you you get 2/5 of 40? Send me that. Something's wrong with what? What did we get? Well, we got 18, but 2 people, 19, 20, so almost everybody. You know what I think the person who sent me 28 and the 2 people who sent me 28 and the 1 person who sent me 32? You know what I think they did wrong? Calculation error. Yeah, I think they need to work on their math fast. I think it's too This was a typo. This person, they didn't, you know what they did? You know what they did? The person who got an 8? What did they do? Yeah, they only kept 1/4 of the money, right? 1/4 of the money was $8, but I was being nice and I said you could have 3 of those groups of 8.
So in that particular video, you saw, again, it was on the fly. The kids got to see immediately how many got it right. They were excited because the more of these we did, the more people that were getting them right. And then what I really like about, you can't see it, but the graph of their answers is up there. Again, that's immediate feedback for them, immediate formative assessment for me, and it also can guide some discussion, and it can guide some error analysis. I find that really useful. Okay, another video.
Of these 3 fractions, send me what you believe is the biggest amount.
Here's an example of a student being a student leader. No, I'm sorry, not on this one. This is an example of a way that you can have kids do some sorting. So we had a discussion.
How come the number is equivalent? It looks different, but it's equivalent, Grace. We're multiplying by one whole. And times by one doesn't change the amount, does it? Okay, well, of course you know. I'm not always going to give you fractions where one denominator is a factor of the other denominator. That's too simple. Looking up at the screen, case 1 are the kind we did last week. One denominator is a factor of the other. Case 2, denominators have no common factor other than 1. Case 3, the denominators have a common factor, but it's not one of the two numbers, or it's not the number 1. And up here you can see I have some pairs. I'm going to have volunteers pick a pair and then drag it. Does that belong here if these were denominators? Does it belong here if these were denominators? Or does it belong here if these were denominators? We're not going to say anything if we think someone put theirs in the wrong spot. So for right now, I just need volunteers to keep the pens moving and to start dragging and then pass that pen on. And as they're doing that, I want you to be thinking if you agree with them. Keep the pen moving. We're pretending these are denominators. And when they've all been placed, we'll stop and take a look and we'll talk about what we see.
So then of course we would continue the process, and then we would use that information to guide the lesson, to lead the discussion, for error analysis, all those kinds of things. Here I have students that lead what's going on.
What do we have to do now?
As you can see, those in the class are also actively participating. They are trying the same thing that the student leader is guiding them through. So they have a little chance to think about it at their tables before they give their information, and he adds it to the class chart. It's just a chart I made by using lines and a typing tool, and it became a way that we would practice our different lessons.
So we need the greater than. Let's read it from left to right.
You can put in links to other flip charts, so you don't always have to combine things. So you can put in links to other flip charts that you've made. You can put in pictures that you take from different places or that you take with your own camera. Then here's a math problem. It's got real students in it. We've got our marker boards or our calculators. If I want them to use calculators, I can have volunteers come up, and it's real fast for me to go grab a math tool that might be useful. Then you just drag it where you want it to be, and then you just have the students talk about how they might do this. Do you need a calculator? Can you do it with mental math? And then you can use the clickers to send in what they believe is either the discount or that they believe is the sale price. Whoops, clicked the wrong thing. Going back to my flip chart. Flip your classroom or post videos of the lessons. Those can be lessons that you actually videotape, or those can be lessons where you use what I'm using today, the screen recorder. These become video files. Not having much luck, of course.
In other words, how many 50-cent pieces will she give me? How many half dollars or 50 cents? That's what I'm splitting it into. How many of those divisors fit into our original amount of money? pieces is the lady or the man going to hand you? Kylie? $10 worth of money is what you hand over. How many 50-cent pieces? If they give you 5, they just ripped you off, didn't they? 50 cents, 50 cents. How much is that? $1. 50 cents, 50 cents. $2. 50 cents. You gave them a $10 bill and you left the bank with $2.50. That's not good for you. You don't want them to do that to you. Nicole, I'm going to give you 20. Now, some of your brains are saying, that seems really weird. Not if you stop and think about what this means. How many halves are there in 10? I was saying money, so how many 50?
So I think you can see that there are a lot of ways to use the interactive whiteboard in your classroom. There's way more things that you can build into your flip charts to make them more exciting, to make them more interactive. But the bottom line is, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this going to make my lesson better? Is this going to engage my students? Is this going to ultimately lead to increased student learning? If you'd like any help with Active Inspire and building flip charts, just let me know. I've run some workshops and I would be happy to run some more. If you saw something in here that you want to know how to do it and you can't figure it out, just shoot me an email. Otherwise, remember Promethean Planet and spend some time looking for things, filter through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you.